Hi, today we're going to talk about the simple approach to CSP success. Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. Today we're going to talk about the simple approach to CSP success. So my name is Simon, I'm the marketing strategist for Office 365 here at SherWeb, and joining me today, Mathieu.
Hello Simon, great to be here. My name is Matthew LeBlanc. I am the channel director at SureWeb, and it is a pleasure to be here today, and I'm looking forward to having a great engaging conversation.
Thank you. So without further, let's take a look at our agenda today. So we're going to talk a little bit about the state of the MSP, the CSP program, and then the value proposition of SherWeb for that program, for resellers who's trying to get into that market, and then some prices and profitability scenarios. And we left quite a bit of time for Q&As at the end, but we're expecting you to ask some questions, and we want some engagement and be able to answer your question throughout the presentation as we talk about the specific topics.
So don't hesitate, use the chat window within the webinar interface, and as Simon said, we'll do our best to answer those as we go along, okay?
Mm-hmm. And just to be clear on the objective of today's presentation is to make sure that you have all the details to make an informed decision when choosing your CSP distributor. I've been in the shadow of a lot of presentation where we have more thought leadership presentation, so helping partners to do marketing, to do online advertising, and to sell solutions like Office 365, but a lot of questions that I've been answering are about SherWeb Partner Programs, so I wanted to make sure that we have some space today to actually deep dive in that.
In the shadows, but an essential role. Thank you, Simon.
Yeah. So I'm going to do the same thing today, monitoring the chat and make sure that we touch on every one of your questions. So let's start with the state of the Microsoft CSP program to establish some terminology and some statistics also. So here's a Microsoft slide with a little bit of tweaks of my own, but I want to make sure we're clear on the terminology. So I hear a lot of direct, indirect CSP, distributors, so let's make it clear. Direct CSP, let's see it like that. It's when you're billed directly by Microsoft, when you're invoiced directly by Microsoft. There's very few of them, around 1,000 to 5,000 in North America, and historically, I can say when Microsoft started, they seen that part very big. They opened the gate a lot, and they've seen a lot of engagement from partners, a lot of signups, but they've had a little bit of problems, if I can say, with activating those partners. So they've kind of switched a little bit their focus towards indirect CSP or resellers because that's where they think that there's going to be the most amount and the most value for resellers.
No, you're right, Simon, if you don't mind. So there's a very direct and significant cost in the direct CSP model. Mm-hmm. And initially, Microsoft had a lot of ambition with regards to the volume of partners that would register to the direct model. And many have, but not many have shown the results or achieved the objectives that were set. So many of those are actually transitioning to the indirect model, which is about, let's talk about the CSP distributor, for example. That's use that term for SherWeb and other distributors, and there's indirect resellers, which is so usual MSP, around 20 to 50,000 by now are already reselling through the CSP program, so that's huge. So I just wanted to set the ground on that. And again, another Microsoft slides, but here I wanted to highlight the fact that they now focus on the 80 to 90% of all CSPs are going to go through the distributors or are going to be indirect resellers. Mm-hmm. And if ever some of you are still not clear on the definitions or what the requirements or involvements and things that you need to do to qualify and become a direct CSP, well, you can reach out to Microsoft, of course, but feel free to reach out to SureWeb. We're here to educate you in that process as well. Make sure you understand the actual obligations and involvements and requirements that you have to meet as a direct CSP and what those can look like in terms of cost.
It's not always easy to determine what would be the cost of having to build my own platform, invoice my customers, migrate, support my customers. So SherWeb, with the help of Microsoft and a few years of historical data working with our partners, we have a pretty good understanding of what it would cost to you to become direct versus indirect and the benefits of both.
And if I can add on that, we also have value for direct CSPs too, because some of them had some specific issues in regards to whether it's billing, whether it's supporting, migrating some customers, and we can have a la carte services for them to help them transact and move forward in their CSP journey.
Yep, exactly. That's a great point. What we call Valet Services. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And another example for direct CSP is perhaps they've built, that partner has built an expertise around Office 365, but Azure or Dynamics 365 is a completely different game. So being able to have the sales engineers, the migration specialists, and the support technicians to manage those types of service, it requires a different skill set, experience, and certification level than Office 365. So a direct could go Office 365 with Microsoft and go the indirect route for Azure, for example, with SherWeb.
Yep, good point. So a little bit of history or facts about SureWeb. So our motto is to win together with our partners. So it's to establish a strong relationship and work with our partner through a high-touch approach and personalized strategy to make sure that we both win together. That's a win-win scenario. And so basically we're born in the cloud. Since '98, we only resell cloud solutions. That's a big differentiator versus the hardware distributors that have been there for quite a while. We have more than 5,000 partners, 45,000 organizations. Now we're more than 400 staff. We're Microsoft direct cloud solution provider in US and Canada. Indirect, so distributor. We've been named distributor, #1 distributor by the Reader's Choice, RCP Mag. So we're really proud of that because it's you guys that voted for us and not necessarily the editor. And of course, we've won many awards throughout the year, almost at least one per year. And the latest one is the Cloud Award, the Productivity Cloud Award in 2017. So very, very high level. And again, SherWeb is simplifying the cloud. So maybe Matt, you can...
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take this one. So you might have heard concepts like Cloud Accelerator, CSP Accelerator. How does SherWeb achieve this? Well, we do so by trying to simplify the cloud as much as possible with our partners. So we've really mapped out over the last 2 decades of selling cloud services and the last decade of working with channel partners, a real clear journey. And we have a pretty good idea of what it takes SherWeb to be successful, but more importantly, what we need to make available to you, our partners, so that you can be successful. And that's mapped out in our partner experience from an easy, free, no commitment onboarding and registration process. Right? You sign up today, no cost. You can have no services for 6 months while you build a plan and a business model with us, and you won't get an invoice, of course. Then to enablement and selling. Enablement, you want trainers, you want to make sure your sellers and your technical teams understand what it is they're selling, how to engage with their customers, handle objections, build quotes. Well, we give you the skill set, not only in training, but also in sales, architects, and solution engineers to help you work on those individual deals. So there's the training, there's selling, and in selling there's also a whole marketing aspect of things, right? So training and giving your sellers the skills needed to take opportunities through the life cycle is one thing, but helping your business acquire customers, make sure your website is optimized, make sure you've got great social and content campaigns and media running at all times to make sure you drive customer acquisition and get your quantities of customers and your monthly recurring revenue up as much as you can. And then we transition into some of the operational aspects, so provisioning and billing. You want to make sure you've got a great tool that's accessible online at any time to add or make changes to your customers' cloud services, which is what we make available to you. And through that same platform, you got great visibility into what services you have, what you need to bill your customers, detailed by user, by month, prorated billing. One of the few indirect CSP to do that. Now that's a great point. So prorated billing, whether you add or remove services, you by SherWeb are billed monthly on a prorated basis. How you bill your customers, that's entirely up to you, of course. And then finally transition into two great benefits, which we'll spend a bit more time later on to make sure that you guys understand the concrete value that SherWeb brings to the table to our partners when we talk about migration services and ongoing technical support, which basically are free for exchange online and hosted exchange, and professional services around Azure migrations, Dynamics 365 migrations, as I mentioned Azure, but infrastructure in general, application and data. We have the expertise, and they made it available to you at a cost, which you can obviously mark up and sell at a profit to your customers. So you get that full business in a box, supported by all the elements that perhaps you don't have today in your business, to make sure that you can accelerate your cloud journey and capture recurring revenue now.
We had a comment/question from Colin who's asking, so SherWeb is a distributor like Ingram and Tech Data, interrogation mark. So yes, we are. And I'd say even more, what makes us a bit different than what just Mathieu told us is that we're a lot more focused than them into these services. So we do a lot more services versus just putting that product out there because it's one of the 300,000 SKUs of Ingram. So that's a big point there.
And that's a great question. Another way to look at it is, SherWeb, as Simon said, we've been born in the cloud 20 years ago. So we've been hosting our own cloud applications for the last 20 years. So we've built an expertise around the data center, the infrastructure side, all the way to delivery to the partner, and then through them under different partner programs, such as fully white label programs, to the end customer. So that it's that expertise, that cloud know-how, that channel expertise that we bring to the table, which then we add so much value around. And I just mentioned the migration, the support, the platforms, the ease of use, and we'll touch on some of these elements throughout the conversation or throughout the webinar.
Yeah, so we're going to use that framework of the 5 elements there, the partner experience, to go through every one of them specifically. So Matt, why don't we just start with the onboarding process with the different partnership model?
Absolutely. So at SureWeb, you've got 4 partner programs that you can subscribe to, and those can evolve with you over time. Okay, but before I get to that and what I mean by that, the first one is your advisor. So if you're currently selling Office 365 through the Microsoft Advisor program, for which you're partner of record for different customers that you've moved to Office 365, but Microsoft is billing your customer for you and giving you a back-end commission, which, by the way, as you know, all of those, well, the sell commissions disappeared last year, and the managed 3% commission is disappearing at the end of June. So as of July 1st, if you're a partner of record through the advisor program, you will no longer touch a single dollar in commission for any existing or new customer that you bring on to Office 365. And that's Microsoft's way of telling you guys, switch to CSP. And we'll talk a little bit about more of the benefits that SherWeb can bring to the table with regards to that. But your first option, if you've got existing business or future business, you can become an advisor. And that's the same sort of concept where SherWeb will own the customer, bill them. It is our brand, and you as the partner gets a recurrent, initial upfront or a higher commission year 1, and then a recurrent monthly commission after that. So that's for partners that don't want to get involved on the support and on the billing side. Okay? And then if we transition to the next program, then you can start your business there. If over time you start gaining experience or confidence, expertise, you can open or sign up to our distributor, which is our co-branded program. So basically in this one, it's very different than the advisor, because in this model, you own your customer. By that I mean you have a fixed partner cost structure from SherWeb that is discounted from our standard pricing and from online pricing. And basically you set your sell price. So you're in full control of your pricing strategy. Based on the bundles, the managed service offering that you have, you can really determine by yourself what price point you want to sell this at to your customers, and therefore be in full control of your margins. So in this case, the co-branded is very unique in the sense that SherWeb will support your end customers. So you want to bill, be control of your pricing, but don't want the hassle of supporting your customer. That's the program for you. So it's co-branded because we'll support your end users under SherWeb. And finally, if you want to continue the evolution, your last and the most popular program, I'd say over 75% of our partners today are registered under the white label reseller model. That's the program in which SureWeb is completely invisible to your end customers. They have no idea. Through the portal, the communication, all the tools and services that we make available to you, our partner, the end customer is clueless. It is really up to you to determine whether you divulge that relationship and for what reason. But in this model, just like the distributor, you own the customer, you own your pricing, you own the billing. You are also frontline, so level 1 for your end customer support. So they will not call SureWeb, of course. They will call you. You can either build an expertise or a help desk internally, or you can be a relay point and transfer all of your technical requests that you get from your customers around the cloud solutions that you've sold through SherWeb to SherWeb's 24/7 help desk. Okay? And that's included a monthly fee of all the cloud services that we sell. So that's the co-branded. What's interesting though is there's something new. It's called our Valet Services. And again, we're going to talk about that a bit later. But what that means is basically us extending support like the co-branded model directly to your end customers, but under your brand. So for a premium per user per month, we'll give industry-leading technical support and migration service and onboarding experience directly to your end customers under your brand. So branded PBX telephone system, branding ticketing system, monthly service level objectives and reporting to you, the partner. So you get a very good idea or view, that is, of what your customers are doing with SureWeb. And we do so under your brand. So that's a great program. It just launched a few months ago, and so far we're seeing a lot of interest.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing in the partner, in your choice when coming to SureWeb. You got to align your business model and your current state or situation with the right program for you. And all of this to say is that you can evolve, right? So Simon mentioned this. Basically, you're able to sign up for each of the partner programs, put customers in all of them. But really what happens in most cases is people start with the advisor or the co-branded, and as they gain confidence, expertise, they transition towards the white label model, the reseller program, to make sure that they're full control and client-facing in all aspect of your customer relationship.
Yeah, because they want to be in front of the customer, and that's the whole point of the CSP program when Microsoft launched it 2 years ago, is because partners are asking for that. They want to manage the full relationship from selling to billing to supporting the customer. So let's move on to the selling portion. So how can SherWeb help you getting better at selling these cloud solutions? Well, one of the first thing is, of course, to make available the top the top market solutions. So Office 365 is definitely one of the best of breed solution out there for SMBs, and that's part of the SherWeb mission. As I talked about a little bit earlier, we're not here to put all the solutions available in our marketplace, but more select the very few that are top ones, and make sure we have the right agreement in place with the manufacturer, and make sure we have the best deal for you available. So Office 365 is definitely one of them. Azure and Dynamics, so all the products available in CSP. We don't have EMS in there, but of course it's available. Every CSP SKU is available at SherWeb. Same thing for Windows 10 and different like Power BI and different workloads inside Microsoft Cloud Solutions. And of course, hosted exchange still a very big practice, although Office 365 is taking a lot of mind share recently, but we do have some customers are requesting very specialized services and just hosted services still. Cloud databases and cloud servers. So in our own infrastructure, we have over 6 data centers across North America where partners still want to get their hands on their own servers and special solution, which is not necessarily Azure. And online backup. We just recently relaunched online backup with Acronis Cloud Solutions, and it's a huge success. It's probably, I think probably is a bit diminishing. It is the most easy and attached service to Office 365 right now, and just email in general. Everyone needs to back up their devices, whether it's laptop or even mobile devices, which is pretty trending right now. We see a lot of attention putting to that. And finally, compliance and security solutions. So email encryption, and with WannaCry that happened last weekend, again, still an important topics in SMB's mind today, and MSPs too.
So there's certainly a lot more cloud solutions available out there, but we feel that SherWeb has selected the ones that your customers are more likely to consume. Either one, because they're like at the top of the adoption curve, right? It's easy to convince a customer to go to Exchange Online or to move their email to the cloud, online backup as well. And then it's really the la porte d'entrée, as we say. So a way to get into your customer. If you haven't sold any cloud solutions, start with those, and with time start adding additional services, online backup, infrastructure, compliance, security. And it's a great story with whom you can evolve with your customers and increase your depth with your customers through cross-sell and upsell activities.
Yeah. And we can't reveal any big announcement, but I can say that the product team kind of doubled in the last 6 months, and they're cooking up a lot of great cakes in there, if we can say it like that, but around artificial intelligence or AI with Power BI, around VoIP, around what do we have? Secure cloud solutions. So a lot of things that are very trending. The product team right now is working hard, and we're going to have some pretty big announcements in the coming months and weeks. So we wanted to put an emphasis on the team that's there to help you, because again, that's one of the big SherWeb differentiator when we think about the big hardware distributors. We have a big team and that can help you, and that's there available. That's free. You don't have to pay for professional services. Of course, we do have professional services, but most of what we offer, we want to make sure that it's part of our offering to help our partners grow. So the first point of contact you're going to have is an account manager, a dedicated account manager to your account. So it's the same person that you're going to work with that's going to help you to onboard, jump on calls with you, with your customers, make sure that you have the right training, whether it's on our solutions or on the control panel, to make sure you understand everything in there, and coaching, of course, coaching for business, coaching for cloud, coaching for how to compensate your sales team, how to transition your business if you're still selling a lot of on-premise solutions to the cloud era.
Yeah, a couple points on that. So I can't understate the value of that dedicated account manager. I've spoken to thousands, literally. I mean, I've been with SureWeb for a while, of partners who have told me that above the margins and all the great services they get, the number one value they see is their dedicated account manager, who's really there to be your trusted advisor, as Simon said, to make sure that he can accompany you in your transition to the cloud or to an MSP model. And that is your ambassador within the business as well. So not only will he jump on calls with you and put your hat on to try to close deal with your sellers, but he'll make sure they're trained, that you have the content, the document, and that you have someone at SherWeb to speak to who is available to really be there when you need him and to help you grow your business.
So he's at the center of your communications and interactions with SherWeb. And one resources that he has is our pre-sale solution experts. So of course, this person, the account manager, is not an expert in all the cloud solutions that we have, but we do put available a team of pre-sale solution experts that are there to are also free and are also there to jump on calls with the account manager. White label, again, we don't say SherWeb, to either scope customers, make sure we plan the project right, and have everything in place to make sure you don't fall short to your customers' expectations.
Now, as I said earlier, you haven't sold CRM online through Dynamics or Azure. It can be a quite daunting process. But you have an opportunity. You don't want to let it go, right? You don't want your competitor to jump on it and potentially steal whatever other business you have with that customer. So now you can leverage SherWeb's expertise as your own to make sure that you can say yes to those opportunities, knowing that you'll have access to certified engineers, technicians to build the right proposal to meet your customer demand and needs, and then to actually move them to the cloud.
Yeah, that's huge value for resellers. And sales operation coordinator, well, that's a role that we created
I think less than a year ago, when we've seen all these transition from Microsoft Advisor program to the CSP program. So if you're in that situation, you probably have a lot of customers that are on that are billed directly through Microsoft that have subscription there, and you want to move them to CSP. So there's a quite simple process, but still there's some things that you need to be aware of. There's some experiences that we've gained by moving thousands of customers from Advisor to CSPs, and we can help you with that. And that person's specific role is to help you do that. So whether it's communicating with your clients, it's making sure that the subscription are transferred appropriately. There's a lot of things that needs to be considered, and we can help you through that to make sure that's not a burden on your side and you don't waste time doing a simple transfer when you can add value to your customer throughout the process. And finally, again, with the central point of contact of the account manager, we're working hard to release managed marketing practice. So we have Mode here is doing some consultation, mostly ad hoc consultation right now as a beta test. But what our goal here is to release a full managed marketing service for our partners. It's not clear yet how we're gonna price that, if I can say. We don't want to price it again, but it's going to maybe come with commitments. But of course, this is a tremendous value for our partners. We've been asked a lot to help with automated emails, to help with lead generation, to help with just writing blogs on your own website. That's something that Mode is working on right now, and she has a lot of articles ready for you to just republish, repurpose on your own site without spending any time doing it yourself.
Yeah. So that's a scoop, so stay tuned once again.
Yeah.
But the idea is you want a great online presence, you want a website that rocks, you want to drive customer acquisition through different campaigns. This is what it's going to be all about, giving you access to the tools, the content, in order to achieve those objectives. So stay tuned. There'll be more information coming in the next few months.
Yeah. And the partner toolbox. So that's, again, a central hub for our partners to go to get all the documentation, videos, sales readiness content, to make sure that you have everything in place to have a successful business with every one of these products. So here's a little layout of how it's spread, the step 1 to 4. So basically in step 1, we have some documentation to make sure you understand the product. So it's mostly data sheets, demonstration videos, the plans, the features, very basic stuff. And then positioning the product. So that's more for your sales team. So again, videos, competitive battle cards. So one pagers your sales team can print and have as a next to their desk. Hand client presentation. So most of the content is content that we created. A little bit is from Microsoft. Microsoft has a lot of content. So what we do is we go through all of that and take the essential part of that and make that available to you, so you don't have to go through all that
Not only do we help you gather the most relevant and effective content, but we also build a new one and add to it. But also we work with thousands of partners, right? So we get to see what works and what doesn't, and we gather that feedback and we optimize our campaigns and our approach and our content. So our other partners are contributing to your success if you do sign up with SherWeb.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider as well.
One thing that we do a lot is tweak some enterprise content towards SMB focus, because there's a lot of enterprise content right there, but we get a lot of feedback from our partners that it's not targeted to their audience, it's not relevant. So we do a lot of tweaks to make sure that it really fits your business model. Again, getting leads, so we have some content ready for you to use, emails, whether it's campaign in the box, promotions. Onboarding customers, so this is more the technical part. So when you've done that sale, when you're ready, migration guides, you need some emails to invite your customers to tell them about the product. So that's what we have in there. And just a little highlight on the 3 branded options. So we do have 3 different
types of document when we create, when we publish them, to make sure that it's easily reusable for you, to just put there your logo and reuse as your own. And that's something that's really important for us and for you. Finally, we do have, to help you sell, a lot of enablement programs and incentives, like the advisor program that Mathieu talked about in the beginning. We now have a cashback promotion for Office 365, Dynamics, and Project Online, which gives you up to $15 per seats. That you either transfer or for new organizations. So make sure to take a look at this. It's ending on June 30th. We have Skype, so 3 months on Skype. So we try to help you to cross-sell, to add more services, to get to your portfolio. This one is an example where it's still live until the end of June too, but we match any one of our competitors. So Colin was talking about Ingram and Tech Data. Well, if they have some promotions, we're not afraid. We match anything. So let us know. Just register on that page. Tell us what that promo is, and we're gonna match it. And in terms of programs, here's an example. We have right now a Performance Cloud Accelerator program, what Peter likes to call the PCAP. So the PCAP is basically a program that helps you get trained and get some funds and some NFR. It's not NFR. This is real money for you to use for onboarding new customers on Performance Cloud. So up to $750 over 3 months for that program. So ask your rep about that.
It's more than just the money, though. It's the support and the whole structure around that program to make sure that if you haven't sold infrastructure as a service before, it's going to look at all the elements required to make sure you're successful. We're going to train, give you the document, the content, work on your deals, and until you're what we call enabled, meaning you're mature. You've sold, 3, 4, 5 Performance Cloud customers. So it's taking you through that journey to ensure success on a specific offering, in this case, infrastructure as a service.
Yeah. And some Windows 10 free trials, cashback that are running right now. So these are just examples of promotions, but there's always running promotions, whether it's for cross-selling, for getting new business, for activating. So activating is for starting to transact with SherWeb. If you're not a partner yet, there's some promotions available for you. And finally, the Dynamics enablement program. As Mathieu said about Performance Cloud, Dynamics is the same thing. It's kind of hard to get started, and we want to make sure that we put everything in it to you, that we put everything available to you so you get successful. So that's one of the examples.
That Dynamics 365, I mean, it can be understated, and it's not the right form or opportunity right now to speak in depth about it, but please reach out to SureWeb, find out more. I'll just give you an idea. Per user monthly SKUs for Dynamics 365 start at like $40 and up, and they go all the way into the hundreds of dollars per user per month. So we're not talking about a few dollar mailboxes a month here. So there's significant increase in MRR for the licenses and significant professional and managed service opportunities for you.
Yeah.
You might say, man, I've never sold CRM. I wouldn't even know where to begin. Don't worry about it. We've built a turnkey solution to really meet all of your requirements, from the initial consultation to the onboarding to the ongoing management. So there's things that you can access at SureWeb services as your own to make sure that your customer has a great experience from the beginning to end.
Yeah.
So reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to talk to you more about the Dynamics Partner Enablement Program. So far we've driven it through multiple partners and they're showing some significant results.
And finally, we do a lot of, that's not necessarily enablement program, but that's more thought leadership content. So just to give you an example, we have over 450 blogs on our blogs that are mostly targeted towards MSPs and how they can bring value to Office 365, how they can sell it, how they can migrate it. And we have more than 10 every week. That's new blogs. Same thing for the webinars. We have over 40 on-demand webinars that you can watch to get trained, like that MSP Masterclass that was a huge success back in March. That was helping you with the financials of the cloud, with the marketing of the cloud, the selling of the cloud. So a lot of great content for you there to consume and help you in your cloud transformation journey.
So now let's take a moment to take a look at our portal user experience and features, which is a big ask again from potential partners that wants to know what does it feel like to be in that portal, what are the features. So let's deep dive a little bit on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll take it from here. So basically, SherWeb's portal is called Cumulus. So before I tell you about it, I might as well show you. So we're going to run a little video. So Cumulus is SherWeb's own internally developed partner portal, and obviously we've got 20 years of development expertise in building out these types of platforms and systems. And this is a portal that's available online. You can access through anywhere, and is really the place where you manage your customers and your entire business with SherWeb. Are we up?
Yep.
All right.
10 minutes. That's all it takes to become a partner with SherWeb and resell Office 365. Here's how. Go to our website and click on the Partner section. Click on Join Partner Network. This brings you to the registration page. Choose from our 3 partner programs, White Label, Co-branded, or Advisor. Then tell us a bit about your company by filling out the Contact Information section. When you join SherWeb's partner program, you get instant access to 24/7 customer support, pre-migration, and great recurring margins. Once you've finished filling out the form, look in your inbox. We'll send you an email to activate your membership. Now you're ready to log in to our partner portal. You'll have access to dozens of cloud services like Office 365, hosted Exchange, cloud servers, and cloud databases. Create your first organization. Enter the number of Office 365 plans you want. Enter your client's name, address, and domain name. You're almost there. In a few seconds, you'll be ready to provision your users on the Office 365 platform. Hit the Save button. Congratulations, you've activated your account. From now on, you can access the Office 365 portal by using the Managed Services link. See how easy it was? Now you're ready to create users and activate mailboxes for Office 365. Are you ready to start selling?
That was a pretty quick process. It's literally as fast as that to get going with SherWeb. Of course, there's a lot more. We want to build a sustainable business model with you, so we want to make sure we have all the elements and have a solid plan with you. But if you have an opportunity today, or you want to start transferring Office 365 Advisor business to your SherWeb account, this is the process. It would only take a few minutes.
So the takeaway there is that there's no complete tax report or form to fill out, the fax, wait time before you get someone to approve the admission. So it's all done. If you do it at night, midnight, and you want that to be done within 5 minutes, it's achievable.
Exactly. So some of the features that I'd like to highlight that you didn't necessarily see in the video are basically, it is a centralized platform. So you could have a single customer, as you can see here, within the managed services to which you've sold Office 365, perhaps some SherWeb encryption solution that have been added on to Office 365. So that would be the 2013 platform. Or 16, depending on the service. You might have sold online backup, infrastructure as a service. The point here is from your list of customers, you can quickly jump into the technical platform for each service that you've sold to that customer to manage the technical aspects of the services. So jump into Performance Cloud, stop the VMs, make changes to the resources, add some storage, add some CPUs, start the VM again, and you're done. That's really the process. So that's your account or customer management. We'll go to the next slide. In that one, another feature that you have access to here is really how quickly it is to transfer your business to Office 365 if you're an existing advisor partner with Microsoft. So We have some, as Simone said, some sales operation folks that are there to assist you in executing that. But basically, a big essential part of our success is the UI and the tools that we develop to allow you to import all of your existing business from the Microsoft Partner Center into the SureWeb account. So you can see here that all of your accounts will be automatically populated with the licenses assigned. And then basically, it's a question of starting the transfer for each. And the tool gives you visibility on where you are in that process. Has it been completed? And of course, you have 24/7 assistance through our support or through your dedicated sales account or through the sales operation manager that's been assigned to your case. So we're really there to make sure you can move that business quickly and then focus on the next deal, the next customer, or the next sales opportunity. So that's one. Another feature here is really around all of your support and needs. So that could be billing requirements, migration requirements, or 24/7 technical support. So within the portal, you have a great ability to create new tickets with our team. You can always call, of course. And the numbers are there when you sign up. They're online. We're here 24/7, North America based, but we'll get into that in a few minutes. So you can open tickets via the portal. You can see all open and closed tickets and a full view of your ticket history with SureWeb. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to manage all of this in your inbox.
Yeah, that was a big request too.
Absolutely. Another key benefit is really the real-time usage and reporting functionalities, and this will be enhanced over time. And we do gather a lot of our partners' input in building out and determining what the Cumulus roadmap will be. So in Cumulus itself, you have a great option to solicit feedback, to provide recommendations and input directly within the interface. So feel free to do that. That's what it's there for. So this is usage reporting. Basically, it gives you a great visibility by a client, what services they have, what consumption of those services are, so actual usage versus the allocated quantities of services you've made available for your customers. So it gives you a great view. And something in that same environment is the audit. I think it comes back later, but I'll just mention it now. Within the reporting, you have access to audits. So you can at all times see what your employees who have access to Cumulus as a partner business are doing. So we've got great logs which you can export and see exactly what was done. Great functionality around your MPN ID number as well. So that's something important. If you're an MPN ID or if you're a Microsoft partner with a Microsoft Partner Network ID number, you can put that number into Cumulus. And what that does is that will report all of your sales of any CSP, so Office 365 Dynamics, Azure, EMS, so forth, to Microsoft. So if you have any certification, incentives, competencies, all those things that you currently have today with Microsoft, you will still maintain with SherWeb. That's not a problem whatsoever. But make sure you enter your MPN ID number. And then you've got great communication preferences, so you can select your maintenance communication, your newsletter, promotion, marketing communications directly within the interface. And of course, as I said, you have audits to see what your employees are doing within your partner account at SherWeb. So you have the ability to create users and give them specific roles. So you have a billing technician that you want only to be able to see your invoices and handle that part of the business, and a technical one to not be able to see your costs or handle your invoices, but only have the ability to add customers and make changes to the actual services that your customers have. You can assign these different types of permissions to individual users that you give access to your partner account. So this is the logs here on the next slide. We already spoke about that, but everything is recorded and you can export yourself a full audit of what's been done in your environment. So that wraps up Cumulus. And really the best way to get a feel for it is to sign up. Again, it's free. You get access to Cumulus and you can start playing with Cumulus yourself and see how easy it is to navigate, understand, and begin selling cloud services and making recurrent revenue with your customers.
That's some great stuff there. Thanks. We have a question about the partner pricing. So is there a cost to partner with SherWeb? As we mentioned, no, there's no cost. It's completely free and it takes 2 minutes. So there is a credit card when you do the sign up, as Matthew showed, but it's really just to make sure that we don't have like fake fraud sign ups, or just to make sure that we really have a real person with a real credit card. And because it's so easy to add services to, that if you add those services, we do have a way to build them. But just the sign up itself, it's completely free. There's no commitment. So you don't have to buy any seats within a certain amount of time. So that's important. Another one is around CSP pricing. So on CSP pricing, for example, I sell a lot of Office 365 through Tech Data along with their 24/7 support, which is maybe less 0.15 per user. Do you have any plans that match that? So I'm not sure I understand correctly what that service is that 15 cents per user, but maybe the Valet Services will answer that in a few minutes.
Yeah, so no matter what, you as the partner, if you're selling and transacting through a CSP, you or your customer cannot contact Microsoft Direct. So it is on the CSP and direct partner, SureWeb in this case, to make sure you get the full service that you need. And that, as I mentioned earlier, is included in your monthly fee for whatever services you sell. So that's 24/7. And you contact us, we troubleshoot, excuse me, and if we need to escalate to Microsoft, we'll do so on your behalf through our own premium contracts with them. So you don't have to worry about talking to Microsoft and being patient and not necessarily getting the visibility you want, okay? As far as your actual cost, they vary based on, excuse me, they vary based on the price and the service that you have. So if we're talking about CSP specifically, reach out to SherWeb, we'll get into the specifics. But overall, it can be between 5% below the online Microsoft pricing to 15% below the online annual Microsoft pricing. It all depends on, well, how much business you're coming to SherWeb with. Do you require the migration services? So there's different things that we can do. How many seats do you have? What's your plan? Are you selling any other services with SherWeb today, or do you plan on leveraging other cloud services and not being just focused on Office 365? So there's lots of things that can influence your cost at SherWeb. But by signing up, you'll get the full price list and you'll see exactly on a per user per month basis for all of our services what the cost is and what the options to achieve what we're calling performance tiers based on certain conditions or your overall monthly recurrent revenue with SherWeb.
Great.
So on that note, and I know there's another question regarding Skykick and migration services. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
So the one thing I really want to highlight before we almost conclude this webinar is really two key professional services. The first one that SherWeb extends for Exchange Online and Hosted Exchange is really free migration services for mailbox migration. And that's, obviously it's the mailbox, the contacts, the emails themselves, tasks, notes, and so forth. But what you get at SherWeb is within whatever plan or services you've sold, you get access to a dedicated migration specialist who's going to adapt to your schedule and obviously to your customers, and who's going to be available to work with you for every single customer that you onboard through SherWeb, okay? And we've built over the last 20 years an expertise to guarantee that your customers will not have any downtime whatsoever and certainly no data loss throughout this process. So again, reach out to SherWeb if you want to find out more about exactly how we do this and what the migration process looks like. But remember, we've migrated over 50,000 end customer organization over the last 20 years to the cloud. So we've built an expertise, we've built processes, best practices, and this team is available to make sure that you and all of the customers that you'll be bringing to SherWeb or that we'll be serving together will have the best experience when moving to the cloud. So that is free in your monthly fee for Office 365 Exchange Online and for SherWeb's Hosted Exchange. And then, as I said earlier, you want to be supported in moving your customer to Dynamics 365, to Azure, to Infrastructure as a Service, online backup, Cloud Connect, so all types of DR as a Service solutions. The expertise is there, and in some cases, cost to you can be applied. But our core business model and approach is not to make money on the setup fee. We're really into the recurrent revenue, but we want to make sure that at the same time that sometimes tens of hours of onboarding services that we extend for complex workloads like Azure, is not done at a loss, and therefore that you get the support, the quality resources, and make sure that that move is made successfully to the cloud.
Yeah, not all clouds are created equal. Some Azure, and I know myself from SharePoint past life, there's a lot of complex situation that requires a great project scope and coordination. So when it includes hundreds of hours, we do have to charge for some of this.
Exactly, but that's something that you can add a markup because, as I said, we're not making money on this. We're just trying to cover our costs. Yeah. Therefore, you have plenty of opportunity to add a margin and make a one-time project fee, margin or opportunity there. And the second one is really around technical support. And this is really across the board, all of the services, SherWeb hosted or through CSP. And that's when you buy any service with SherWeb, you have access to 24/7 help desk in both French and English that is located right here in North America. Okay, so you don't just speak to a level 1, you speak directly to our VIP actual technicians. So all partners of SherWeb are not served by our level 2, but directly by our VIP team. So these are the most senior, certified, able technicians. They carry a lower workload to make sure they can get in depth, because after all, working with partners requires that. You know, you're going to be opening a ticket with us having already completed a few troubleshooting steps. So we're really going to start from that point and make sure that we continue and give you the assistance you need on a case-by-case basis. So with 2 things also that's important to note is that our technical support comes with no restriction. You can call in 1 time or 100 times in that same month and you won't be charged for anything, okay? It's part of the monthly fee. There are no bank hours or the maximum as far as how much support you can leverage and have access to, all right? And we're very proud of our support. I mean, we have an NP score, Net Promoter Score, that is well above industry average. I think year to date is around 78 or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's a 60-second answer call on average, 24-hour or less resolution time, and a great NP score. So that's really you, our partners, giving us a rating from 1 to 10 as to how you appreciate the support on a case-by-case or ticket-by-ticket basis. And 78, look it up if you're not familiar with the NP score format or concept, but look it up. 78 is definitely industry leading, and we're very proud of that.
Yeah. So to sum it up, this is partner support. So we're supporting partners through that free support, or as we talked about earlier, the co-branded version, we can support direct customers with the SherWeb brand with that support to free again. But Ron is asking, what as the cost for SherWeb to handle client support issues level 1 and level 2? So I think that what your question is, we're getting through that with the Valet Services. So
yeah. So as I said, there's no cost to you, the partner, for the standard service, either under white label, so you're client facing, you open tickets with us, or under co-branded program where we engage directly with your end customers under SherWeb's brand. If those 2 options aren't necessarily what you're looking for, as I mentioned earlier, we have what we call Valet Services. So this is really an option that's great for the partners who want to maintain brand ownership. So they want SherWeb to be visible to the end customer, but at the same time, they don't want the hassle of being a 24/7 help desk. So the cost that comes with that, having the technicians in place, having the expertise covering a 24/7 shift, you know, it comes with a certain amount of cost. So you want to offload the support, yet keep your brand front and center. Valet Services is there for you. It's a brand new program. Again, talk to your account executive at SherWeb and we'll tell you the ins and outs, but it's something that takes about a week to deploy. It's a monthly per user subscription fee, and it includes not only support, but premium migration services as well, with a few more capabilities around our standard migration service, such as, you know, end customer Outlook profile deployment, more enhanced communication control and stuff like that. So you've got great options to keep your brand front and center, yet have SherWeb do the work for you.
So the Valet Services are twofolds. There's a premium support services or migration services. So we do include tools that are doing an extra mile as what we're doing usually, and the branded option for our partners, which is very valuable. And as Ron is asking, like, what can we expect in terms of cost, for example, for a business premium seat that a partner would like SherWeb to support on his own brand?
Yeah, so if I understand the question correctly, there's something that's important to know. The Valet Services are limited to Office 365 today.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's very important. Over time, we will add other cloud services that we sell, and perhaps even other managed services that you currently offer today that aren't necessarily, you know, it's not necessarily a cloud service offered by SherWeb. So, you know, desktop support, for example, so the basics.
Yep.
So there might be additional things down the road. Did that answer your question, Simone? I'm not
Yeah, I
quite
think
sure.
he's expecting what can he expect in terms of cost. So maybe one thing that we can clarify also is that there's some branding involved, and so some setup involved. So there's a setup fee to get you set up. So if you just want one customer, one seat to be branded as your own support, maybe that wouldn't be super efficient for you too, because you'd have to set up your phone lines. So the option 2 would go to
SureWeb in the back end, but basically there's some setup fees. It's a couple of hundreds of dollars, and per seat you can expect somewhat between $4 and $5 per seat for 24/7 English support North American. So that's still pretty good. If you and again, you can evolve over time. So if you want to start making sure you have your own brand front and center, and then think about doing it yourself within a year or two, that's totally feasible. There's no commitment to do it for a year or for whatever timeline that we would set.
That's right.
Yeah. So let's.
All right. So the last section, profit. So we're going to go through this one a little bit quickly, getting close to the top of the hour, but there's two things I want to highlight. The first one is really a Microsoft Advisor transfer scenario. So as I mentioned on a couple occasions, the Microsoft Advisor program is coming to an end, meaning you will not be touching any commissions whatsoever as of July 1st this year. So what that means is if you transfer your business to SureWeb, you can make money. If you don't, you're not going to be making any more money with that end customer. So here's an example of a transfer of 100 seat of Office 365 Business Premium that was done to SureWeb. So remember, around this advisor program, you touch 15% monthly commission for the first 12 months and then 5% per month ongoing. So for the same account, you will be touching for the second time in the lifetime of that account the higher margins typically reserved for year one when you first won that customer. Okay, so you do the transfer. In this scenario, that partner, after only 2 years, will have generated over $3,200 in additional revenue and profits or commissions. So I think the story speaks for itself. It's a great alternative. But of course, you might want to transfer that business to the white label program at SherWeb. So you want to take more ownership, more control over your customer and your pricing. That's of course available. We've got the tools for you. Now you need to understand your cost scenario from SherWeb as a partner and then determine your resale strategy. And that brings me into the second slide, which is managed services and margin opportunities. So it's not the right venue for it because we could talk about this for hours, but you as a partner need to focus. One, yes, you can make money on the recurrent SKU. So the actual business premium plan, how much did it cost you? How much are you selling it for? That's great. But really, you want to what we call climb the IP staircase. And that's making sure that you capitalize on project fees. So still one time, but project fees around the deployment of Office 365. Such as training services, assessments, and migration, okay? Knowing that you get a lot of migration support by SherWeb, and we use commercially available migration tools to move the data, and we absorb the cost of those licenses for you. So not only will you have access to a dedicated technician, so we'll take some of the work that you typically have to do internally, so that will reduce your costs internally, but we'll pay on your behalf, and we won't ask you to pay back any commercial tools like BitTitan, for example. I mentioned Skykick in one of the Q&As. So we'll pay for that. You don't have to pay. So there's lots of benefits in terms of cost, capacity, and scalability by leveraging SherWeb's migration service. So these are one-time fees. But the IP staircase story goes into managed services. So you want to add managed service to your offering to maximize the margin opportunities and to demand a higher price point from your customer. And again, we can't get into all these points today, but we at SherWeb are there to assist you in building out these managed services bundles, all the way to IP. So if IP is going to be more led by you, the partner, but if you want to build a specific vertical approach or solution that meets a specific type of customers or segment, that's really where you as the partner can demand the highest price point in the industry and say, hey, yeah, my solution is Office 365, it runs with SharePoint Online, but I've modified it with IP to answer a specific need that you, Mr. Customer, have because of your business. I've taken the time to know your pain points, and I've built out an offering and a solution that is specifically catered for you. So a vertical like legal, for example, or around a specific workload around SharePoint. And that really allows you to get to margins in the 65%, and that's the holy grail. But it takes time to get there, so we start little by little.
Yep.
And at SherWeb, we want to make sure you're supporting that initiative. So reach out to us. We've got great quote tools and ideas to make sure that you can build the right Office 365 plans. A list of 45 different managed service recommendations that we've put together that you can add to Office 365. So to make sure that, once again, you're making more than just revenue and margins on the SKUs, but on a full managed service offering. And finally, project fees as well. So there's a lot of ideas to capture and secure one-time projects fees around Office 365. So
let's
Simone.
wrap it up. Sorry for the delay, everyone. We do. This is just a summary slide to tell you that if you have one thing basically to remember from selling Office 365 or CSP with SherWeb is that you can go to market faster. We've presented to you all the features, all the things that we've worked on with partners during the past years to make sure that you have all the tools from day one to be successful in that business. And we've seen a lot of success from our partners, and that's we're pretty proud of that. So this is just for you to remember. Next step, I do have a couple of questions that I'd like to touch base. You touched on that IP staircase, and we do have a question from Peter who's talking about healthcare and HIPAA, and he's asking if the Valet Services is restricted in terms of regulated industries like HIPAA. I'm not aware of any regulation restrictions for support in Valet Services. Do you have anything on that?
Unfortunately, no. I'm also not aware if there's specific requirements when it comes to HIPAA around how the technical support is extended. But certainly, I would ask that you reach out to us, tell us exactly what your understanding of the elements that concern that types of certification for HIPAA around technical support, and we'll tell you whether it's something that we currently support or not. And if not, what would be the gap in order to give you access to that feature or functionality or service?
Yeah, Peter is talking about a business associate agreement, which I know, and we've worked on that with specific partners in the past. It's always a case by case, of course, but please do reach out, and we'll definitely continue the conversation on a more specific basis.
Yeah, I mean, for the business associate, of course, if you're talking about Office 365 or Microsoft services, Microsoft will sign a VAA directly with your end customer, and there's a process within the admin portal to kick that off. If you're talking about SureWeb hosted products, then it's going to be a case by case. We're going to have to look at the services themselves, the opportunity, which data center within SureWeb, 6 data centers, the service will be deployed out of, and what are the individual requirements to make sure that the HIPAA requirements for your customer are met.
And Ron is asking how do you make money if you are selling only Azure usage? I apologize for the question if I missed the answer. So how do we, SherWeb, make money if we're only selling Azure usage?
Well, I mean, you could apply that to not just Azure, but to Office 365, all the value around the support, the migration, the portal, the assistance that we bring to bear. There's a significant cost to that, and it can be ignored. The reality is, as a CSP, there's a cost structure, there's incentives, kickback that we get, but we invest a lot of that back into the business because at the end of the day, it's about volume. So we want to make sure that we are as successful recruiting new customer and onboarding customer through our partners as we can, and we are as successful with as many partners as we can. So we really want to make sure that we leverage all of these capabilities across as many partners as possible to lower our costs and therefore to make sure that the business case, can stand on its own 2 feet.
And if I can add on that, it's a time period that's very important for every one of us. SherWeb, we call it a land grab mode. Like we're in a land grab mode. We want to get as many partners as possible and as many seats of Office 365 and Azure as possible, because one thing we know, we've been doing hosted exchange for a while, and customers need to migrate from platform to platform when it's out of date, how to support. But for Office 365, once a customer is there, it's not leaving anytime soon. So you want to make sure that you grab as many customers right now, today, not in 2 years, today, as possible, to make sure you have your pool of customers that you can manage and add services and add value to them throughout when you continue to farm them.
Yeah, and that's going to be the key. I mean, SherWeb is going to be extending different professional services. We have some today. We'll have more in the future, specifically around Azure, more advanced support options, for which we're going to charge a fee for. But you'll be able to sell to your customers with a markup as well. But really, the game is really in your court as the MSP, the VAR, the partner, to make sure that with our help, you differentiate your offering and that you stand out in market and that you're able to convince your customers to pay the highest price points possible with you because they see value. So we'll make sure that through the scale and the volume, we'll handle our own financials. I appreciate the concern. However, know that we track that very closely. But if you're successful and we can help you guys be successful, we in turn will be successful.
Yeah, exactly. So on that, I think we're going to close. Thank you everyone for sticking till the very end. We appreciate that, and sorry for the extension. Please contact the partner team. As we mentioned, they're there to help you. Sign up right now. It's totally free, and you get more information in terms of specific pricing per SKUs, per product, and you'll get a call from your new account manager to kickstart your business. And of course, there's some promotion you need to take a look at. So on that, have a great day.
Thank you, Simon. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.